What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you come into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on Michael Jordan. You know, one of my favorite topics, Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan's, in my opinion, like Michael's Jordan role in this GOAT debate, right? And I think it can best be explained, or let me give an example of what I think Michael Jordan's role is in this GOAT debate. Kevin Garnett said one time that not just Kevin Garnett, it was a couple other basketball players that said that, before the game, Michael would be buddy buddy with you. He'll be nice and he'll shake your hand and may even say something pleasant to you, right? And that would catch a lot of players off guard because number one, you as a player, you idolize Michael Jordan, right? And then Mike come up there, he shake your hand and he just show you some respect. And that kind of let you let your guard down. Who else said this? Somebody said that Mike before the game, Michael Jordan commented on the cologne that they had, right? And by the time this guy, I forgot the basketball player. I don't know if it was Burn Davis or I think it was Burn Davis. It might have been Burn Davis, which I dig Burn Davis. But he said by the time he really knew what was going on, Mike probably had about 20 something points before, because it really, he kind of like, he'll lower your guards and he'll get you, that kind of lower your guard. And then Mike will just boom. He'll just, when they throw that ball and tip it off, then boom, he is just like at your throat, right? And I describe that as being ruthless. And ruthless, the definition of ruthless is like no pity, no compassion. Like once that ball is thrown up, Mike ain't showing no pity and no compassion. And I think it's the same way with Mike and LeBron. I see Mike as old money, right? Old money just has so much, they have experience, they have connection. He know the ins and outs of everything. And so you're at a disadvantage when you're coming in and you're dealing with old money. For Mike, less is more. Like you don't hear Mike really doing too much public talking or giving interviews or nothing like that over the last 20 years. Like the biggest thing for Mike was when he came out with that Last Dance, what was it? That documentary, right? That was big. That was big. But the whole time Mike has been lurking in the shadows, selling his sneakers, and collecting his check. It's so it seemed. And he hadn't really been saying anything. But I think Mike and his business partners really orchestrated this LeBron James Michael Jordan GOAT debate. And I say that because of this. Everything that every time LeBron James all his missteps, Michael Jordan and Nike benefit from all LeBron James missteps. And let's say, all right, ticket sales are down. What else? Like viewership is down, but online, Michael Jordan and Nike is making a killing. If you like me, every time I turn on a computer, I see advertising. And this is every day, every single day. I see advertising for Michael Jordan sneakers. Then the other day, I saw that Michael Jordan is coming out with a new line of clothing, right? Whereas though you don't see that for LeBron James. You don't see that. And I think it's all by design. I don't think when you're dealing with people who've been in business for all of these years, like nothing is no coincidence. There's nothing like happening by chance. These people know all the ins and outs, and everything is being orchestrated. Now, if Michael Jordan was to publicly come out and participate in that debate against LeBron James, it would lower Michael Jordan's like his public value. I mean, he is already there. Mike when it comes to public perception, Mike don't have to compete with nobody. Mike already done put in the work. Um, like on so many different levels, Mike is just living off of the residuals of the work that Mike put in the 80s and the 90s, right? He's still living off of that like that like Mike is like a living legend. So he's still living off of that. His shoes are still selling off of that. The relationship that Michael Jordan has with Nike is still benefiting from the work that Mike put in the 90s and in the 80s. So that's with that being said, so Nike and Mike is probably thinking about how can we take this business like to the next level? Because if you look at it, Nike is blowing Under Armour, Adidas, all the other tennis shoes, Reebok. Nike is blowing all those guys out the water. And Mike is doing the same thing with LeBron James, just blowing them out the water. And how are they doing this? Right? They're doing it with their online presence. They created this fake GOAT debate, and this fake GOAT debate just is so good for content that advertisers is making so much money off of this, right? If people with podcasts, they have all these viewers when they for this GOAT debate, Mike this, LeBron that, advertisers get to display their services and their product on these different podcasts. That's money right there. That's even more money that they will even make like in a sold out arena, because they like an advertiser, there's so much space that an advertiser can hang their banner up in an arena. So, it's a limited amount of space, right? But there's no limit to what you can get online from advertisers, because everybody is really everybody is talking about this GOAT debate. Mike don't even have to participate. Nike don't even have to participate. But I'm telling you, Nike and Michael Jordan is just raking in so much money from this debate. It's crazy. And every time somebody comes out and they say something bad against LeBron James about and then anytime you say something bad about LeBron James, Mike is he's the opposite of that. LeBron James moved around from team to team. Mike stayed set and was loyal to one team. So that's content, right? LeBron James has 4 rings and lost 6 times in the championship, whereas though Mike is undefeated. That's more content. Advertisers make money off of that, and so this right here, man, I just think that people who don't recognize that this is all orchestrated. It's all it's all part of a plan to take Nike and Michael Jordan, to keep them relevant and to take that business to the next level. I just recently heard that and over the past few years you have been seeing like Under Armour is having financial difficulties, right? That's because Nike is trying to is monopolies are illegal, right? But Nike is like the next best thing to, I mean, like they're close to it. They trying to monopolize the business. Mike is trying to monopolize his stake in in the business, but they can't shut down Under Armour, they can't shut down Reebok, and they can't shut down Converse or Adidas, you know. But they can limit the amount of business that these other companies get. Like Nike is in business with I think they're the biggest sponsor of ESPN, the biggest sponsor of the NBA. That's why you see most of the people who are in that GOAT conversation for for basketball are all Nike athletes. Kobe, Nike athlete. LeBron James, Nike athlete. Michael Jordan is a Nike athlete. So none of this stuff when it comes to this GOAT conversation, and Nike is just, and Mike is raking in so much money. Mike just came out with a new clothing line where he's selling sweatshirts, hoodies, sweatpants, leather jackets. They're just making so much money. Why now? Why why now the recent ramp up with Air Jordans is coming out, like a different pair of retro Jordans is coming out every day. Basketball season get ready to start up. So a month or two before basketball season starts up, Mike announces that he got a new clothing line. Nike is ramping up. Mike and Nike is ramping up those retro Jordans, and they can't keep this stuff on the shelves. It's just, man, I just, if everybody could just recognize that this is like big money for Nike. I'm sure that other big business people see this, like Under Armour know what's going on, Adidas, they know what's going on, but they really can't. They're not in a position to do anything. They just gotta just brace for the storm. That's all they can really do, because Nike and Michael Jordan just got everything sold up, man. And the way they set it up and the way they did it, I think was just it was just ruthless, and not ruthless in a bad way, but it's just something like LeBron James didn't. I don't think LeBron James to this very day, I don't think he really knew like what he was up against when against Michael Jordan. He really couldn't compete with Michael Jordan on no level. And that GOAT conversation, when you think about the GOAT conversation, like why didn't they use Kobe Bryant in the GOAT conversation? Because that with Kobe in the GOAT conversation against Michael Jordan is not as polarizing as Kobe and Mike, because Kobe was the closest thing to Mike. Kobe, he stayed in LA for his entire career. Kobe had one less ring than Mike. Kobe worked hard on his game like Mike. But like I said, LeBron James is just the opposite of Mike. He moved around. He didn't have as much rings. He got a reputation for flopping. And so that right there, like, if you like that right there, that argument, that GOAT argument is just so polarizing, because you got people in that fan base who just so dedicated to Mike, right? And then you got people who dedicated to LeBron, but they just not as players, they just not as close, as Kobe and Mike. So that wouldn't have been a big, it wouldn't have been a big to do if you say Kobe and Mike, who's the best? Any people, all right, that's not it. People don't get as passionate about Kobe and Mike as they did LeBron and Mike, because the gap is just so wide, and it caused people that emotion that people get from talking about who's the best. Like if you're a Mike fan, you get really upset with a Kobe fan. I mean, with a LeBron fan for even comparing the two. And if you're a LeBron fan, you get upset for people not, for an older generation, be like, man, y'all, that's old news. That y'all, you passed your prime. So that's more polarizing, that Mike and LeBron thing. And polarizing mean money for Nike, and it mean money for Mike, man. And it's all orchestrated, in my opinion. So that's my take on that situation, man. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video.